Okay, so I decided to make a little video about the sourdough bread that I bake at home. A lot of people have been asking me for tips, so I thought, why not make a little video? First thing I'm going to talk about is the actual sourdough culture and how to care for it. You have to feed it regularly. My philosophy is minimal waste, and the way I do that is by essentially only feeding it when I'm going to bake with it. I'll show you how I feed it. So pop it on the scales, and I'll pop in about 50 grams worth. And then I'm just going to top that up with 50 grams of water, and then give that a good old mix up. If you keep it in the fridge, you don't have to feed it all the time. And if I'm going to bake with it, take it out of the fridge, let it warm up to room temperature, so that'll take a couple of hours. And then what I do is I feed it, like I'm doing now, and then I'll let it sit for sort of 2 or 3 hours, and it'll become nice and lively, and you'll see lots of air bubbles in it. I fed this earlier, and it's quite literally frothing at the mouth. You can see it. When I hold up to the camera, it's kind of, it's pretty much foaming. First step, sort of zero the scales, and what I want to do is just pour 100 grams of this starter. Just going to tip this in. There you go. That's around about 100 in there. Okay, done. Okay, so the next step is 300 ml of water. So the water can be sort of room temperature, really cold. Okay, so that's 300 grams of water. So now what I'm going to do is just mix in the culture. Right, so the next step is add the flour. So I've got this massive bag of flour from Shipton Mill, which was a bit of a result actually, because I was struggling to find any flour in the supermarkets, and so now I've got 26 kilos of the stuff, which should last me a little while. So okay, so what I'm going to do is put in 500 grams of flour. It's strong white flour, which is perfect for making bread. Normally I'd mix in some wholemeal flour as well, usually in the ratio of sort of 4 to 1. So 400 grams white, 100 to wholemeal, or spelt or rye. So next step, magic trick, little secret, diastatic malt powder. It smells like Maltesers, basically helps your dough proof. It's basically sugar, so it helps feed the yeast, so it makes it a particularly sort of lively mix. Now I'm going to put in the salt. Okay, so I like to use good quality salt. So I'm just going to grind in 10 grams of salt. It seems like a lot, but this recipe's never let me down. Okay, so that's 10 grams of salt. I've got into recently putting seeds into my mix, so I'm going to sprinkle some seeds. So what I've got here is a mixture of sesame seed and poppy seed. So I'm just going to sort of, don't really measure that, I'll just do it by eye. That should do. Let's mix it. So I'll pop this in here. And what I tend to do is just put it on a low setting to begin with. Hopefully you can still hear me. It's good to have everything in one place. So I've got this basket which I put all of my equipment in. You know, there's no barriers to actually doing something and it's on hand. There's no excuse for not baking. Right, as this is starting to come together, I can turn up the speed a little bit. If you've got one of these mixers, you want to use one of these dough hooks as opposed to like the whisk. So right, I'm going to take this out. See, that's kind of, you can see what it looks like, so it's all mixed together. There's very little flour left in the bowl. So what I usually do is I like to sort of just go get a tea towel. I've just made this wet, and what I'm going to do is just let this sit for about maybe 15 or 20 minutes, and then I'll start the kneading process. So in order to knead, what I'm going to do is just sprinkle a bit of flour on this work surface. I mean, this is just a pot with some holes in it, with some bread flour in, but I find it quite handy. Now I'm just going to get the dough out of the bowl, give it a little roll to begin with, just to sort of coat it a bit in the flour. And then, yeah, just start kneading. So you don't have to go crazy with it. Just make it like part of your daily routine. Giving it a bit of work. And that should be it for now. What I tend to do is, knead it for a minute or so, pop it in the bowl, keep the wet cloth in it. Maybe 3 or 4 of those every sort of 15 to 20 minutes, even half an hour. You don't have to be too regimented with it. The idea is just work the dough 3 or 4 times. It's been about 15 minutes. I'm just going to get the dough out and give it a little bit more work. So you'll notice as the time goes on, the dough gets a bit tougher to work, which is a good. Okay, back in the bowl. So I'm just going to give this one last knead. I'm just going to sort of shape it up into a nice ball, just sort of scoop my hands underneath it. And then what I'm going to do is going to take this banneton. Well, A, it's a very good proving vessel. It gives it a nice sort of aesthetic feel to the bread when you bake it. And because I sort of dust this with flour to stop the bread sticking, I transfer this into the banneton, give it a little shake so the flour gets on the undersurface of the bread. I'm going to put my wet cloth on the top of this. When you come to bake with it in the morning, you can simply tip it out the banneton and it's just going to come out really easily. I'm just going to leave this to prove. So I let it prove at room temperature. The key is mix the dough in the afternoon, evening, and then let it prove for a few hours. And then before you go to bed, stick it in the fridge. And so I've had a sleep. The bread's been proving in the fridge overnight. You can see it's risen a little. What I'll do, I'll get the oven on and then I'll talk a little bit about the equipment that I've got. First things first, I'm going to turn the oven on to maximum attack. So it's a fan oven, I'm just going to stick it on at 220 degrees. I'll reduce it probably down to about 180 once I stick the bread in. This is a baking still, and it gets nice and hot. And when you tip out the bread onto this, it gives it, it retains a lot of heat and gives the bread a sort of an instant kick. So I'm going to stick that in the oven. Now, the other thing that's going to pop in is this cloche. Helps to maintain like more of an even temperature as the loaf is cooking. I'm going to pop this into heat up as well. Another little trick is to have an old mug, putting some water in it and sticking that in the oven on the bottom shelf. I've got a little shaker which is full of like sort of cornmeal / semolina type stuff, which is kind of quite coarse grain. So I'm sprinkling that on the baking still. When I tip the loaf on, as it cooks, it won't stick. It should be nice and hot now. Use another glove, take the cloche out, get my sort of cornmeal ready, sprinkle that on the hot surface. And then as this is in a banneton, it should be nice and easy to get out. So I'm just going to tip that onto the baking still and then pop the cloche on. So now I'm going to reduce the temperature down to about 180, 190, and I'm going to put a timer on for 47 minutes. My bread should be ready. Oh yeah, lovely. I think it's time to get this beauty out of the oven. So let's